It's almost that time of the college football season. We're just 2 weeks away from the very first unveiling of the college football playoff rankings. But luckily, we don't need to wait for 2 weeks for the committee to tell us who is in and who is out and who is ranked where. We can ask our very own Chat CFP for some answers. So Chat CFP, the Miami Hurricanes entered Week 8 undefeated as the number 2 team in the country. But Louisville had their number on Friday night, holding them to 63 rushing yards and forcing Heisman hopeful Carson Beck to throw 4 interceptions. So Chat CFP, the question is, will Miami make the college football playoff? The Miami Hurricanes need to win the ACC championship if they want a place in the CFP. What do you think, KC?
I actually agree with this because, look, just because we're in the modern era of college football and there's this college football playoff system where college football conference winners get rewarded and you got at-large teams and everything else, it's still the same old thing. Your conference still has to have significant representation in the top 25 to make your strength of schedule matter when it comes to the national ranking. So right now this year, Clemson was a disappointment. SMU is a disappointment. You got teams that aren't quite living up to their end of the bargain, making the ACC just appetizing for the college football playoffs. So I'm saying, man, if you don't win a championship, if you don't get there, I don't think you're getting in from the ACC.
Well, I'm going to have to disagree with this answer by Chat CFP with Miami having to win the ACC championship. Unfortunately, in this day and era, we talk about quality losses. Let's say if Miami get to the ACC championship and play an undefeated Georgia Tech team, well, maybe even a one-loss Georgia Tech team. Well, that one quality loss from either one of those programs, I still think that's enough to get both of those programs in, even though Miami just slipped up versus a really good Louisville team. I think that's going to be the key as well. How well do Louisville end the rest of their season and how good of a loss that ultimately turned to be versus a unranked Louisville loss as it look right now versus winning or losing to a conference championship game.
And circling back to what you first said with your point is that team they face in the ACC title game, if they don't end up winning that ACC title game, it needs to be a team that's built a really nice resume at that point, which right now Georgia Tech would be that team.
Yeah, Georgia Tech is that team, but to your credit, look, this is just a small sample size that we saw Carson Beck, right? You know, he had one bad game, and one bad game means you might not win the Heisman, but it means you can probably still make it into the college football playoffs. So if they stay straight and they're able to win out, but they're going to have to win impressively, and I think they need help from other people around the country. The other conferences, their teams have to not quite get to that 11-1, 10-2, whatever we think it's going to take for the Big Ten or the SEC to make it in. I think they need some help. But I don't know. Maybe I can agree with mine.
Yeah, no, it's all right. You may as well. Meantime, the Georgia Bulldogs won a big one Saturday against the Ole Miss Rebels. Dogs had to come from behind and dominated the fourth, scoring 17 points and outgaining Ole Miss 143-13. So, Chat CFP, what does this mean for Georgia and Ole Miss? Georgia is a legitimate contender for the national title, but Ole Miss will still make the CFP. What do you think, Kevin?
I think the SEC is one of those conferences that has a lot of teams that are kind of in a logjam. I think it's going to take longer to get to the clear picture of who works their way to the top in terms of being at the top of the conference when all is said and done. But I think this game between two top 10 teams, basically, I agree with what he's saying, with what Chat CFP is saying, because I believe that definitely Georgia is that team. They've answered all the questions about the running game, their offensive line, and Gunnar Stockton played about as well as you can play at the position, and he's balling out right now. So, to me, Georgia, it's about how you win your games, and they are manufacturing wins at this point in the season, trending up in the areas that we thought they were once weak. So, today's, performance from Gunnar Stockton was hands down the difference maker in this game. Comparing his performance to Trinidad Chambliss, it was no contest. Look, the quarterback whisperer has done an amazing job at Ole Miss, but Gunnar Stockton today was the man.
Yes and no to this. I do think both teams are national championship contenders, and I think both teams are going to find their way with some very favorable rankings when you talk about the college football playoffs, all because of, look what we just saw what happened in the Big 12. Texas Tech, the favorite in the Big 12, just went down to a conference opponent. Miami going down to a conference opponent. And I think the biggest wrench in all of this is we had undefeated teams in the Mountain West and the American go down today for that group of a group of 5 at-large bid here. So that's going to give a little bit more wiggle room for some favorable rankings for some 10-2, potentially 11-1 non-conference championship contenders in the SEC and the Big Ten.
Okay, moving along, LSU lost a close one in Nashville today. They're second on the season, and with 2 ranked teams on the horizon, how about Vandy getting their first win over the Tigers since 1990? Chat CFP, is it possible the Commodores get their first ever CFP berth?
Come on.
Come on now, 1990 was 35 years ago. I think that proves anything is possible, ... Unfortunately, Vanderbilt will not make the CFP. That's disappointing, Kevin.
It's disappointing because I think that Vanderbilt is trending the right way. Snapshot of them, it's 6-1 in the season. Their only loss on the resume to a really, really good, what looks like a really good Alabama team. I mean, and you look at the remaining schedule. I mean, it's doable. So you telling me that if Vanderbilt goes out, beats Missouri, beats Texas, beats Auburn, wins out, and they're able to edge Tennessee in that last game, that they won't make it in? I disagree. I'm telling you, obviously, this is basically a projection of what they think Vanderbilt will do the rest of the season. And they're saying that basically they will not win out. I'm saying that Diego Pavia, +1 in the run game, he is slowly, arduously making me a believer.
You know what? I'm going to have to disagree with this one as well, because you look at the remaining schedule of Vandy. The toughest one is Missouri at home, and we saw how good they play at home. Texas in Austin is a very winnable game, and I think they have another tough one on the road, but I think it's a winnable game. Definitely the way they played today versus LSU. If this is an 11-1 Vandy team, we're not talking about the college football playoffs, just getting in as one of the lower seeds. We're talking about the SEC championship game, right? So I think they have a chance if they win out at 11-1 and only lost to an Alabama team. And oh, by the way, the Alabama team beat Georgia. So those two teams would match up if both teams went out.
Okay, USC and Notre Dame both needed a win in the worst way Saturday. Notre Dame got the win. So chat CFP, is there a path for the Irish to make the college football playoff? They lost too early. Notre Dame's win over USC was great for their resume, but their upcoming strength of schedule doesn't boost their chances. Cardale, what do you think of that?
You know what? I agree. I don't think it boosts their chances. We're trying to put too much weight on quality losses versus quality wins. And I think the remaining of their schedule, we won't find a quality win until we see how they match up versus a really good Navy team. It still won't be another ranked win on this team. And I think what's going to be the kicker in this situation, you're going to have so many 10-2 teams from the SEC on the outside looking in whose resume is going to be a lot better than Notre Dame's. But we get it. Notre Dame's a bigger brand. You want those brands in there. That brand awareness is a real deal when you talk about the college football playoffs.
It's a real thing still.
Yeah, if they went out and you have 3 or 4 10-2 SEC teams, I'm giving them the bid over Notre Dame.
Keep in mind, Kevin, the losses are Miami and Texas A&M. Top 10 teams at the time. Miami was obviously a top 5 team. I think A&M was ranked 7th. Those are quality losses, if there is such a thing, which I think there is.
It depends on how the rest of the season shakes out, but you mentioned this, and I'll cite my reference here, because you said that it's Marcus Freeman's style, it's his MO, to lose that game early and then just get on an absolute tear and come back and win the rest of the games. And if he does this year, that'll be nothing short of miraculous. I think that Notre Dame, the one thing that chat CFP and all of its infinite wisdom does not take into consideration is the human aspect and perception. And the perception of Notre Dame that has happened, I don't know, the last 40 years of college football.
Maybe more.
Maybe more. They're going to get the benefit of the doubt, okay? If there's a chance, if they're sitting there with a bunch of 10-2 teams, okay, they're going to be one of those 10-2 teams that actually gets in. That's where I disagree with chat CFP.
If we're talking about quality losses, let's just go back to our one question ago with Vandy. Vandy loses versus Missouri, and they finish 10-2, and Notre Dame runs the table. Who has the better 2 quality losses? Vandy with Alabama, who's going to be a playoff team, and Missouri, who's going to be in a hunt to be a playoff team, versus a team from the ACC with Notre Dame has lost to Miami, and another team that's going to be in the college football playoffs most likely, A&M, can easily be a 10-2 team as well. That's why I don't want to get into quality losses. The name of the game is to win your matchup, win your battles each and every week, so you don't have to talk about, hey, I only lost to this team by this.
Well, if the quality losses on each of those two resumes you're talking about are even, then you go to quality wins, and Notre Dame does not have one.
They won't have one. Yeah, they won't have one.
That's true.
Good point. I love it. Cardale Jones, you get the final word, Kevin.
But the Lord loves Notre Dame. That's all I'm saying.
Seems that way going all the way back to Newt Rockman. So long.